Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. Growing up, my sister Amanda, 32 female, and I, 34 female, were like night and day. Not just in personality, but in how our parents treated us. Amanda was the golden child, showered with praise and excused for every mistake. I was the quiet, responsible one, expected to step up, help out, and be the bigger person whenever Amanda caused trouble. Amanda thrived on attention. If she wasn't the center of it, she would find a way to make herself the focus. When I excelled in school, Amanda would diminish my achievements or shift the conversation to herself. I remember one incident vividly. I won a regional art competition, and Amanda threw a tantrum because she wasn't entered in the contest. Instead of celebrating my win, my parents spent the evening consoling her, telling her she was just as talented. As adults, our lives took drastically different directions. I worked hard to establish a successful career, and along the way, I met James, 40 male, my now husband. James is kind, grounded, and hardworking. He built a successful business from the ground up. And while he's financially well off, he's also incredibly generous and humble. He loves to spoil me, not because I ask him to, but because he genuinely enjoys making me happy. I feel blessed and fortunate to be his wife. Our life together is filled with love, stability, and some luxuries I never thought I'd experience growing up. James often buys me thoughtful gifts, including stunning designer gowns for the black tie events we attend regularly. My favorite is a custom-made black gown worth $10,000. It's sleek floor-length and adorned with intricate beading. James worked with a designer for months to create something unique for me, and the gown holds immense sentimental value because of the thought and care he put into it. Amanda, on the other hand, married Tom, 36 male, a kind and hardworking man who has a steady but modest income. They live a comfortable life, but Amanda has always resented the luxuries I enjoy. She constantly makes snide comments about my privileged lifestyle, accusing me of being out of touch, while simultaneously envying everything I have. A few weeks before New Year's Eve, Amanda called me, practically begging to borrow the $10,000 gown, along with the matching designer shoes and clutch. She and Tom were invited to a fancy party, and she claimed the outfit would make her feel special for once. Knowing Amanda's history of being careless with other people's belongings, I was immediately hesitant. She had a long track record of borrowing things and either ruining or losing them. Once she borrowed a jacket from me and returned it with a massive coffee stain, claiming, "It's not a big deal, you can just get it cleaned." Another time, she took a necklace without asking and lost it, brushing it off as an accident. This wasn't just about money. It was about trust and taking care of other people's belongings. I tried to let her down gently, explaining, "Amanda, I'm really sorry, but that dress is very special to me, and I'd be devastated if anything happened to it." Her reaction was explosive. "Wow, so selfish," she snapped. "You have a closet full of gowns, and you can't even share one with your sister? It's not like you can't afford another one. You value materialistic things more than your family. Shame on you." I stood my ground, and Amanda eventually hung up on me. I thought that was the end of it. How wrong I was. James and I were out of town for a gala on New Year's Eve, leaving our home empty. When we returned, I immediately noticed something was wrong. My closet door was slightly ajar, and when I checked, my heart sank. The gown, the shoes, and the clutch were gone. I knew right away who was responsible. I called Amanda, trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but she didn't even bother denying it. "I borrowed it," she said casually, as though that made everything okay. "You weren't using it, so what's the big deal?" "Well, the big deal is that you stole it," I said. "Please return it immediately." Amanda did return the dress the next day, but it was completely destroyed. She admitted to spilling red wine all over the gown, tearing the hem while dancing, and scratching the shoes. Her response? "It's just a dress, my name. Chill out. You can afford to replace it. I'm sure your husband will get you another one." I was furious. Amanda didn't just steal something valuable. She ruined it and then dismissed my anger as overreacting. I demanded she pay for the damages, but she laughed and said, "Good luck getting anything out of me. You're rich. You don't need the money." After that call, I decided I was done letting Amanda get away with her entitled behavior. I filed a police report for theft and began legal proceedings to sue her for the full cost of the gown, shoes, and clutch. When Amanda was served, she went ballistic. She called me crying, begging me to stop the case. "I can't afford this," she wailed. "You're ruining my life. How can you do this to me? You're my sister." My parents quickly got involved and, surprisingly, they took Amanda's side. They argued that she didn't mean any harm and that suing her was cruel and unnecessary. But their main argument? Amanda and Tom have been saving for expensive fertility treatments, and the lawsuit would wipe out their savings. My mom was particularly relentless, saying, "You're child-free, so you don't understand how important this is. Amanda is our only chance for grandchildren. How can you be so heartless?" I was floored. Instead of holding Amanda accountable for stealing and ruining my belongings, my parents were blaming me for her financial struggles. They even accused me of being jealous of Amanda's desire to have children, which is absurd. My decision to remain child-free is personal and has nothing to do with Amanda's choices. Amanda, of course, has been playing the victim. She's told anyone who will listen that I'm destroying her life over a dress, and conveniently left out the part where she stole it without permission. James has been my rock throughout this ordeal. He's furious on my behalf and insists I'm doing the right thing. "This isn't about the dress," he said. "It's about respect. She needs to learn that actions have consequences." I've since gone low contact with Amanda and my parents. The lawsuit is still ongoing, and while it's been emotionally exhausting, I refuse to back down. Amanda needs to understand that she can't steal from people, destroy their belongings, and expect to face no repercussions. I know suing my sister might seem extreme, but I felt like I had no other choice. She crossed so many lines, stealing from me, ruining my gown, refusing to take responsibility, and now my parents are blaming me for her inability to afford fertility treatments. Reddit: am I the a-hole for standing my ground? OP's sister didn't just borrow OP's gown. She stole it and destroyed it, then had the audacity to laugh it off and claim OP should just buy another one. That's not just entitled, it's outright disrespectful. What's even worse is that she didn't show any remorse for her actions, and instead, she's trying to manipulate the situation to make herself the victim. OP's parents blaming OP for her inability to afford fertility treatments is absurd. Amanda's financial struggles have nothing to do with the fact that she stole and ruined something valuable to OP. OP is doing the right thing by holding her accountable, and hopefully, this will teach her that actions have consequences. OP should not let her parents guilt-trip her into dropping the lawsuit. They're enabling her bad behavior by not holding her accountable. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Not the a-hole. Amanda crossed so many lines here. It's hard to even know where to start. She stole something that didn't belong to her, ruined it, and then laughed off your anger like it was no big deal. That's not just a mistake. It's an outright betrayal of your trust. Your parents enabling her by focusing on her fertility issues instead of the theft is just appalling. Fertility treatments have absolutely nothing to do with what happened here, and it's manipulative of your family to try and make you feel guilty about something that's not your responsibility. This isn't about a dress. It's about Amanda's complete lack of respect for you and your belongings. Suing her isn't petty or extreme. It's a reasonable response to her behavior. Stick to your boundaries and don't let anyone make you feel like you're the problem. Not the a-hole. Your sister's behavior is incredibly entitled, and it's clear she's been enabled by your parents her entire life. The fact that she thought it was okay to steal something as valuable and sentimental as your gown, destroy it, and then dismiss your feelings is absolutely unacceptable. What's worse is her complete lack of remorse. She didn't even offer a sincere apology, let alone take responsibility for the damage she caused. Your parents blaming you for her inability to afford fertility treatments is just another example of how they've always prioritized Amanda's feelings and needs over yours. This isn't about fertility or grandchildren. It's about respect and accountability. You have every right to hold Amanda responsible for her actions, and suing her is the only way to make her realize that she can't keep getting away with this behavior. Not the a-hole. Amanda's actions were completely out of line, and your parents' response is even more troubling. Stealing your gown without permission wasn't just disrespectful, it was theft. Ruining it and then brushing it off as just a dress shows a total lack of regard for your feelings and property. What makes this worse is her sense of entitlement and refusal to take responsibility. Your parents blaming you for her financial struggles, particularly her fertility treatments, is manipulative and unfair. They're trying to guilt you into dropping the lawsuit by making it about something completely unrelated, and that's not okay. Update. After filing the lawsuit, my parents escalated their guilt tripping to unbearable levels. Every single day, I received calls and messages from them and extended family members. They accused me of being heartless, selfish, and tearing the family apart. My mom was relentless in reminding me that Amanda is their only chance for grandchildren, and that my actions were making her dream of motherhood impossible. It didn't matter how many times I pointed out that Amanda stole and ruined my belongings. Everything was somehow my fault. Amanda, meanwhile, continued playing the victim, telling everyone I was ruining her life over a dress. She never once apologized or showed any remorse for what she'd done. Instead, she leaned into the narrative that I was the villain who didn't care about family. It became exhausting. Every time I tried to defend myself, I was met with accusations and emotional manipulation. It didn't matter that I was the one who had been wronged. In their eyes, Amanda was the real victim because she couldn't afford the financial consequences of her own actions. After weeks of this constant barrage of guilt and manipulation, I reached my breaking point. No matter how justified I felt, the stress and emotional toll were starting to affect my health and well-being. I wasn't sleeping well, my anxiety was through the roof, and I dreaded every notification on my phone. I realized that continuing the lawsuit wasn't worth the toll it was taking on me. As much as I hated the idea of letting Amanda get away with what she did, I hated even more what it was doing to my mental health. My husband, James, bless him, supported me fully, and after a long conversation, we decided that my peace of mind was more important than proving a point. So I dropped the lawsuit. I notified my lawyer, and the case was dismissed. The moment I made that decision, I felt an immense weight lift off my shoulders. While dropping the lawsuit brought some relief, it didn't solve the underlying problem: my family's toxic behavior. Over the years, I've endured their favoritism toward Amanda, their constant guilt tripping, and their refusal to hold her accountable for anything. This incident was just the final straw. I realized that as long as I stayed in contact with my family, I would never have peace. They would always prioritize Amanda's feelings over mine, and they would always expect me to be the bigger person, while excusing her entitlement. I deserve better than that. So I made the decision to go no contact with my parents, Amanda, and anyone else in the family who supported their behavior. I blocked their numbers, removed them from social media, and let James know they were no longer welcome in our lives. Since going no contact, my life has been so much more peaceful. The absence of constant drama and guilt tripping has been liberating. I've been focusing on my health, my marriage, and my happiness, and it's been a welcome change. When my parents got married, my dad's family gifted my mom with some expensive jewelry that had been in the family for decades. This included a set of sapphire earrings, which she wore on her wedding day. Their marriage ended after 2 years when my mom discovered my father had a 3-year-old daughter, Lily, with another woman. My parents had been dating for 7+ years before they finally tied the knot, for context. My father insisted my mom keep the jewelry, but she ended up returning it to my grandma. My mom found out she was pregnant with me during the divorce, but she wouldn't give him a second chance. My dad has been an active role in both mine and Lily's life, but he has always intentionally pit us against one another. Her mother has also fueled this feud between us. Lily has also had a bad relationship with our extended family due to lies her mother would tell her about them growing up. We've both seen these sapphire earrings before when visiting my grandma, but neither of us ever tried to make a claim for them. When I was 16, my grandma gave me all the jewelry she had previously gifted to my mother, including the earrings. She said she still loved my mother like her daughter and wished she had kept them, and since it would have all passed to me one day anyway, she wanted me to have it all. Note, my mom returned it before she found out she was pregnant. As far as I know, Lily and my dad didn't know about this. Fast forward, and Lily, now 27, is getting married. My grandma has since passed away. She asked my aunt, who inherited the remainder of the jewelry, if she could borrow the earrings. My aunt was confused and said there were no such earrings. Lily kept insisting she had seen them, and eventually my dad showed my aunt a wedding picture of my mom to point out the earrings. My aunt is one of the few other people that knew Grandma gave me them, so she informed them of this. Lily called me up and demanded I return the earrings to my aunt since they were legally hers. I refused. I later called my aunt to ask if she wanted the jewelry back, and she laughed and said it was mine, and that Lily was being a spoiled brat as always, and we shouldn't enable her. The next few days, Lily started to beg me to borrow the earrings, but from her past behavior, I know if I allow her to, I will never get them back. I'm planning to use them for my own wedding one day. My dad eventually called me to demand I give them to her. He said he wanted his firstborn to have his family's jewelry, and that I wasn't entitled to it. He said my mother gave the right to his family's jewelry away when she divorced him, and he didn't want her daughter keeping any of it. I was really hurt, and I ended up blocking them both. Am I the a-hole for continuing to refuse? Grandma gave you the earrings, right? The earrings are yours, simple and plain, not the a-hole. If I were you, I'd put them away somewhere for safekeeping. Screw your dad and screw Lily. Not the a-hole. Your grandmother, the actual owner of the jewelry, gifted it to you prior to her death, and now it is legally yours. Your sister and father sound a bit terrible to be putting you in such a position, and maybe letting your father know that your grandmother gave them directly to you and not to your mother might stop his complaints. I would get a safety deposit box, put all the jewelry in there, and make certain your father has no idea or access. Not the a-hole. Your grandmother gifted the jewelry to you. She insisted that you have it, and stated that she wishes your mom had kept it despite the divorce. You are not under any obligation to share, and neither Lily nor your dad is doing anything to dispel the notion that Lily would keep the earrings if you let her borrow them. They're both behaving terribly. My 36 female, fiancé, David, 34 male, name changed, and I have been together for about 6 years now. His family is very wealthy. Although I'm very successful and a high earner, my fiancé works for his family's business and makes more than I do. I never want to be perceived to be a gold digger, which is why I try to keep my expenses strictly separate from his. I pay for my half of everything. If he ever gives me a gift, I make sure I get him something of equal value. David has often insisted on treating me, but I always refuse. I really don't feel comfortable letting other people pay for me. My fiancé has learned to respect this. After we get married, we will split all household expenses on a 50-50 basis. Our wedding is in October. His parents insisted on paying for a grand wedding for us, but David and I convinced them that we'd rather pay for it ourselves. The other day, David's mom showed me a diamond and sapphire necklace and earring set that she had kept for David's future wife. She said she wanted me to have it, and preferably wear it on our wedding day. I felt very uncomfortable with this. I never accept any presents that I can't afford on my own. I told her I was flattered, but that I can't accept something so expensive. I told her I won't be able to give her something equally expensive in return, and I'm not okay with that. She said she didn't want anything from me, and that David's sister-in-law had also been given similar jewelry when she married his brother. I told her I understand it's their tradition, but I can't compromise on my principles. She said, okay, fine, but I could tell she was unhappy. Later on, David told me I should just have accepted the jewelry, because it would make his mom happy and because I'm part of the family now. I explained to him that 1. No, I'm not really part of his family, not the way he is, and 2. Being part of the family doesn't mean that I'm going to mooch off of them. He told me I should compromise and at least wear the set on the wedding day. I refused again, as for my wedding, I would rather wear jewelry that I have bought with my own money. David said he understood and will speak to his mother. However, David's sister-in-law called me this morning and told me his mom is still upset and that I should just accept the gift and that I'm going too far with the independence thing. I have a feeling that David's mom is the one who put her up to this. I do want to know what you guys think. Are they right? Am I going too far with this? Or are they crossing the line? Am I the a-hole? Yes, the a-hole, for your scorekeeping and rigidly transactional relationship with money. It's understandable not to want to appear as a gold digger, but marriage is a partnership, and sometimes you have to pick up the slack for your partner. What would happen if you or your husband were unable to pay exactly 50% of the bills? Would you divorce? Why would you assume that you would owe your future mother-in-law for a wedding gift? It's to welcome you to their family and give you something that could be passed down to your kids. It was very hurtful to refuse a gift from your future mother-in-law. You could have worn it once and then put it in a safe deposit box. Yes, the a-hole. And this is a very unhealthy way to live life, where you are constantly going is everything 50-50. You have hurt your future mother-in-law that wanted to show you love and acceptance. Yes, the a-hole. The lady has been keeping that for her son's wife. That's you. It was a lovely gesture, meant to cement your place in the family, and you treated it like a commercial transaction. You could have at least said, "Oh, it's far too much. I would be honored to wear it at the wedding, but maybe you could just hang on to it after that. I would be terrified of losing it." I strongly suggest that you stop trying to make sure everything looks like a balanced ledger sheet at the end of the day, especially when it comes to gifts. The value of an item isn't just in its price tag. So I, 26 male, recently bought out my cousins and siblings' shares in our ancestral family home. My family has lived here since the 1920s. It is on a lake, and my wife and I plan on using it as a vacation home and rent it out on Airbnb. The home needs a lot of work, as it hasn't been maintained. Before we bought it, we asked everyone to come and take what they wanted. This house was filled with decades of stuff. They took what they wanted, and that was the end of it. As we have begun demoing an upstairs bedroom, we found a loose floorboard after removing some carpet. Under the floorboard, we found a metal box with an old lock on it and a coffee can filled with old coins. We cut the lock and found about $2,000 in bills from the 1960s, a pocket watch, gold cufflinks, ruby earrings, a sapphire and diamond bracelet, and a pearl necklace. Based off this, we think it belonged to my great-grandparents, who died in an accident in 1963. I called my mother and told her what we found. She was shocked. My great-grandfather didn't trust banks, and he had hidden valuables all over the place. Apparently, a lot of people did this after the Great Depression. My mother thought that they had found everything. She is now asking that we hand it all over, and it is all to be sold and split between the family members. I said I would give them the cash and the antique coins, but I would like to hold on to the jewelry to pass on to my future children. My mother has said that my siblings need the money because they are both unemployed due to global situation. She considers what I found family property. Legally, I purchased everything in the house, so I think I am covered. My mom and uncle are saying we cannot come to Christmas if we don't hand it over. So, am I the a-hole for not splitting a lost family treasure? Not the a-hole. You legally own the house and all its contents. It was fully searched and what was requested was taken. It's not on you to support your siblings even after you offered to give them the cash. At least you learned a valuable lesson. Don't tell anyone anything unless you want them to use it against you. My 29 female, sister, 23 female, lost her job in March. Her husband, 24 male, is a minimum wage worker and his salary isn't enough to sustain their family of 3. They have a 2-year-old toddler and she's about 4 months pregnant right now. So back in late April, my sister wanted me to loan her some money until she found a new job. Obviously, I was sympathetic towards her condition, and after a discussion with my husband, gave her about $40K USD. Husband and I both work and earn well, so this wasn't that big of an amount for us. When I gave her that money, I told her to spend it wisely because this was all she had, and I said that I don't want it back. Yesterday she calls me saying she's used up the $40K and needs more money. I was a bit surprised by this, because their rent is paid off by her husband's salary, and after that, even if you add up the expenses of food and other items, and no medical emergencies, there is no way in hell you'd use up $40K in 5 months. She got defensive, saying that I shouldn't inquire about how she spent the money, since I said it's her money, to which I reminded her that I also asked her to spend the money wisely, because that was all she was getting. She said that I was being unreasonable, that I should help people when I'm in the position to do so, and that they really need the money since her job search hasn't yielded any results. I told her that I did help her once, and I'm no longer willing to do that again. My husband thinks that maybe we should loan her some more money, since we can afford it, as he feels bad for our nephew and thinks that the nephew shouldn't be punished because of the wrongdoings of the mother. I think that us helping her again would only enable her, and there's no guarantee that she'd spend the money wisely, instead of just burning all of it like before. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Holy hell, your sister's entitled more than anything. Do not give her more money. All she will do is pull the same crap again a few months later and ask for more. Not the a-hole. She's obviously not using the money appropriately. Their rent is covered, and she needs more money after $40,000. She's doing something. Gambling, whatever. Whatever's going on, she's already been unreasonable. Not the a-hole. Your husband is wrong, and your sister's the a-hole to be calling you unreasonable. They'll be fine. There is no amount of money that you could give them that would be enough. Also, strike the word loan from your vocabulary when you are talking about your sister. Just admit that it would be a gift. I, 19 female, am staying with my boyfriend, 19 male, his brother, 13 male, and his mom, 45 female, during the quarantine. I was staying at uni halls and planned on staying there during lockdown. Bad relationship with parents. But boyfriend's mom called me to ask me to come stay with her to be with family. I offered to pay board, but she wouldn't accept. Boyfriend was already at hers, so I packed up my stuff and went. Normally, she doesn't have any of her children full-time. They visit every other weekend. But we decided to stay as there's room for all three of us here. Boyfriend's mom is a nurse and is working. To make life easier on her, I offered to make a chore rota for us three younger ones, which she agreed to. I cleared it with her, and I asked her to enforce it if people were slacking, and she agreed to, saying I was in charge to the boys. However, brother had a hard time with it. He didn't even know what polishing was. I wasn't asking him to do a lot. Cleaning his bedroom every day, changing his bed sheets once a week, cleaning his bathroom once a week, hoovering one floor once a week, and polishing one floor 2 out of 3 weeks, and every 3 days he would do dishes and the washing. This was the same for all three of us. I sat down and taught him how to do everything properly, and gave him slack for the first few weeks because he had never done it before. But I picked up on where he went wrong, and would casually nag him to clean up after himself if he's made a mess. I also nagged boyfriend where he fell short too. Boyfriend's mom has massively babied brother and openly says he's her favorite, and he knows it. So during the day when he was doing chores, he managed fine, until mom came home, and he would make mistakes, fumble, take a long while, whatever, so that mom would rush over and take over. I kept quiet, but it did grate on me. Then, a couple of weeks ago, mom explodes when she comes into the kitchen and some dishes were a bit dirty. She says he's too young to be doing chores, and we should do it instead. I say nothing. She calms down. I thought that was the end of it, but no. A couple of days later, brother tells me that mom passed him a note secretly whilst we were eating dinner, that boyfriend and I cook every day for everyone, asking if I'm too busy, and he told her no, and that he likes the chore rota, and even if he does slack, he appreciates it. Then, a couple of days ago, she takes boyfriend on a walk and asks him that we all just clean up after ourselves, because it's not fair on brother to have to do chores. Boyfriend's sick of the tension, agrees, and since then, I have just been doing my own dishes, my own washing, and cleaning up after myself. The house is a pigsty. Without me pulling both boys up on what should be done, it's not. So I've decided just to let them get on with creating a mess so that she can see how clean it was when I was keeping on top of it all. Am I the a-hole for letting the house get messy to prove a point? Edited to add. This is just answering a few things I keep seeing popping up in the comments. Cleaning bedroom every day isn't like a deep clean. It's just a general tidy. Making bed, bringing dishes down, throwing away rubbish. Nothing major. Polishing is like dusting. I saw it as fair as it's only 1 floor, out of 3, and mainly focuses on the consoles and TV stuff that mainly little brother uses. Anyways, also wanted to add that there is a third sibling, 16 female, who is still staying with her dad during quarantine. The mom has never had the kids full-time, and there's never been an established way to live in this house when they visit. It's always been a bit of a hotel to the kids. That's why I wanted to do a chore rota. The mom always complained when we visited on weekends that nobody helped around the house, and she is a self-professed clean freak, so her standards are very high. Edited to add too. I'm not a stranger in this house. I lived here for 6 weeks, with just the mom and my boyfriend, over Christmas, and have stayed with them for prolonged periods of time before, due to rough situation with parents. Little brother also knows me very well, and we hang out all the time, playing video games, cooking, arts and crafts, all that. Not the a-hole. That mom sounds like a crazy scary enabler. It seems like she is trying to pit her kids against you. Her behavior is a big red flag. Good luck, hon. Not the a-hole, but just move back to the dorm. It will be easier than trying to manage a household that is not your responsibility to manage, and where you have no authority. Not the a-hole. You are doing exactly what his mother wants you to. Pick up after yourself only. So continue, and then she can take it up with her sons when she gets upset. However, I would make sure she does see you cleaning up after yourself.